So, my parents go just crazy over scuba diving.
Reach in there a couple inches and get you a handful. Just some of that, and just smells like dirt, real earthy.
Mr. Bass, you say you wouldn't do this if it were manure.
No, I'd prefer not to.
Me too. So, the air here at Fort Lewis is certainly much damper than the company's post outside Baghdad, and frankly, than back home in Montana. And the soldiers will have to wait right here for a few more days before that final plane ride home. All right, here she is, folks. This is the flower Holly picked as the prettiest one in the whole bunch. I'm gonna name her Daisy. So after grabbing their bags at the Galton Field Airport, a lot of travelers opt to let someone else do the driving, trusting their money and their lives to private transportation companies. The gunners are firing at plywood replicas of enemy vehicles, and they're keeping score when they do it. And hey everybody, I mean, it's bike week. What better time to get concerned? What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, that was a good one, Dan.
Okay. In Bozeman. In Bozeman? In Bozeman. I'm Dan Boyce from Montana's news station. It's one of the last of its kind in the nation. Every spring, the Montana Horses Company rounds up hundreds of their strongest steeds from area farms where they've spent the winter. It's a 35-mile trek home, and the path leads right down Main Street Three Forks. I went along on the 8th annual Three Forks Horse Drive this Saturday.
There's not many of them left. Everybody's kind of, most people truck them. They're not dumb as we are, I guess.
Don't let that smirk fool you. Cale Mantle and the rest of the Montana Horses Company are far from dumb. This drive accomplishes much. A supplemental income for one. Horse enthusiasts from all over the world gather at this camp, hoping for that Wild West experience.
And, they pay me to come do my work, basically.
Take English writer Faye Wright. She saw a BBC documentary on it a few years ago.
And when she had a big birthday, and I said to her, like an idiot, "What do you want to do? You can do anything." She said, "I'd like to go and try that horse ride."
If you like horses and you like big country, this is just a dream come true. You know, you've got pastures here, which is 600 acres. I mean, you know, that's a county in England.
The guests and hired hands clamber up the side of this draw, and I climb into a pickup with my fellow journalists, Guy and Trina, both with European magazines. We watch as the roundup begins. All 300 horses get a short but well-deserved rest inside this corral, but once the riders open up the gates, it's off to the races.
It just really makes you ride. I mean, you can't safety up. I mean, you can, but you're never going to enjoy yourself and never feel as good about yourself if you do that.
The path changes from rolling gravel roads to highway. With this comes increased challenge. Deep ditches threaten to splinter the herd. The more urban areas and many onlookers can frighten the horses, rider or not. Yet that's exactly what these hands signed on for.
The sense of achievement and the confidence it gives you, there's nothing like it.
Finally, the last leg. The horses charge through Three Forks as cheering crowds spill onto the streets.
I mean, that's a pretty special thing, and there's not very many other places you can go in the United States that have anything even remotely like that.
After the long day's ride, the horses wet their whistle, their whole heads, and Cale Mantle can finally reflect on just how dumb he was for expanding his business, giving his riders once-in-a-lifetime memories, and creating one of his community's biggest annual events. But don't curse yourself for too long, Mr. Mantle. These horses are only halfway home. And the company finished the second half of the drive on Sunday. We continue our series on alcohol, Busted by Booze. Research shows Montana has the second highest rate of teen binge drinking nationwide. We look into the culture of teen alcohol use, meeting a group of high schoolers willing to speak openly and honestly about their drinking habits to generate discussion on the topic.
We choose to drink because we enjoy it, and you just have a fun time, I guess, until the next morning.
It's a big weekend for students at Bozeman High School, the junior-senior prom, and it's a big weekend for School Resource Officer Trent Schumacher.
We are, at this time of year, always gravely concerned about the use of alcohol with our age group.
After prom, that's usually a time when people are going to party. Groups like the Montana Common Sense Coalition are looking for ways to address the state's high rate of teen alcohol use. First, find the access points. Here in Bozeman, police say for the most part it's not vendors selling to teens. They say local businesses are pretty good with checking IDs, so someone else is buying for them.
How long would it take you to get alcohol right now?
Probably about 10 minutes. It's pretty much a phone call away. You know, if you have a friend who's over 21, it's just easy.
Or high schoolers find their way into a party that already has alcohol. Parties they find in abundance right down the street.
What do you think the youngest students you've heard about getting into college parties?
Freshmen go to college parties.
It's really easy.
If you've had like friends, older friends in high school who've graduated and are in college now or going to college here.
Especially for girls. Girls can just like walk in. I've never had any problems. So.
I graduated from here in '83, a few years ago, and parties occurred then as well, but I think they're more prolific now, and there's a little more openness to the ages.
Alcohol prevention specialists label private residences as the #1 place teens drink, and across the state, efforts are underway to target that source for greater enforcement. Tune in Thursday when we examine Bozeman's efforts to enact a social host ordinance, something several Montana communities have already done. This penalizes those hosting parties with drinking minors present. And see the broadcast premiere of the Montana Common Sense Coalition film, Underage and Over the Limit, this Sunday on our program, Face the State.